What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 302 Birds, Season 4, Episode 13. We are in the midst of the NBA playoffs. The Sixers absolutely stunned the Celtics last night, and a lot more to talk about. But before we get into it, I'm going to just smash the intro for Jack's Weekly Collins to thank one of our favorite sponsors around, El Diablo Burritos.
What do I want when I'm in the state of Delaware? Of course, El Diablo Burritos. Customer service always is serving your food with a smile on their face, asking how your day is, but their food is phenomenal as well. Their burritos are out of this world, one of the best burritos in town. Their queso is phenomenal. Their burrito bowls are amazing as well. When you're in and around Delaware, stop by your local El Diablo Burritos and tell them that 302 Birds sent you. God bless, go Birds.
Thank you, El Diablo Burritos, for sponsoring that. Tonight we got a fan favorite. We got the Gingerbread Man. How you feeling, Gingerbread Man?
You there, Zach?
He's on Drury Lane.
There he is. He's coming back in 1 second. If you guys don't know, the Gingerbread Man is somebody who we met. I guess the first time we met the Gingerbread Man was at the Giants game at MetLife. And we see this guy in the gingerbread costume. Two guys, really. One wearing a Miles Sanders jersey. We'll have to talk about that in a second and who he's going to replace. And the other one, I believe, was in a Devonta Smith jersey, a Smitty jersey. But welcome him, the Gingerbread Man, to the show. Always dialed in. How we doing tonight, Gingerbread Man? You there?
Oof.
He's prepping for that Christmas Day game.
Luke, what's up, man? We'll bring him back in 1 second once he gets his camera on. But also talking about the NFL draft, that's what we're going to get into with him. I know that he wanted to ask us about that. He mentioned. So the Eagles making a ton of solid draft picks. The team obviously looking very different from the team last year that already went to the Super Bowl, but in a good way. So Philadelphia Eagles moving on in the draft, bringing in a lot of young talent. How are we feeling about that? Who are we most excited to see coming out to play in Midnight Green this season? Coming out to play in Kelly Green this season, I should say. And look who's back, baby.
You dialed in, Gingerbread Man?
I'm dialed.
Hell yeah. Love to hear that.
Always.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about you guys? How's everything going with you guys?
So far, so good. I mean, we were just talking about the draft and who are you most excited to see in this draft that we just had to play in Midnight Green?
Steen. I'm pumped about Steen.
Really?
Fired up.
That's an interesting answer. I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought
Steen.
it'd be Smith or
I like those guys. I do like those guys, but I think Steen. I think with Stoutland, he's going to turn that boy into he's going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we needed on our line for sure after after Sam Malu left. So I think it's going to be a good addition to the offensive line. Me personally, I'm excited to see Jalen Carter because this man, yeah, he has off-field issues, but I think it's something that's going to be good Tatum against or with what's his face? Who did we draft last year? Fuck.
Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Jordan Davis. It's going to be a good because we need that pressure on the line. I think your only issue is getting the ball in the deep field. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Go.
Now, I have a question for you, Zach. Last year, you're rocking out the Miles Sanders jersey. Obviously, Miles Sanders having a career year last year. Whose jersey are you going to wear this year that's going to have a career year? Because obviously, the Gingerbread Man's a good luck charm.
Yeah. So I'm having thoughts about getting a customized, actually, Jalen Carter Bread Man jersey. Gingerbread Man.
I like that.
I would love that. That's a genius idea. I think you should definitely go through with that.
I think I'm going to go with it. 98 Bread Man.
98 Bread Man. And are you going to be rocking out this gingerbread costume a lot more this year? Is this going to be a seasonal thing? Because obviously today the Eagles announced as well, Christmas Day, man.
At home.
At home. Gingerbread Man going to be there?
he might.
It's tough with family, but I mean, if you can, it is also family though. Like I was thinking about it, like we might as well set up Christmas dinner, get a turkey or something, because like that tailgate and that atmosphere is going to be nuts if you can make it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Gingerbread Man, do you have any questions for us that you wanted to ask us? Coming on the show about, expected season, Sixers, anything like that?
What do you guys think about the schedule release for tomorrow?
Yeah, no, we're kind of screwed. We had a tough schedule. It's compared to last year's. We kind of had smooth sailing. I mean, played good games, but this season is going to be tough. I mean,
I feel like our whole division's going to have it tough. Okay, everyone had it easy last year, now everyone has it hard this year. It all balances out.
Yeah, I mean, I think your hardest games that you play this year, I mean, the Chiefs I heard the rumor that they're going to play week 2 in Kansas City. That's definitely going to be a hard game to win going into Arrowhead. And you play the Bills, you play the Jets, you play a lot of good teams this year. But I mean, I still think that the Eagles, with how they did so well in the draft and replaced all the key pieces that they really need going into this upcoming season, is I really do believe that they're going to win 13 or more games. That's just my opinion, just because I feel like, I mean, there's not much competition in the NFC really. I mean, the Cowboys are always there, but you don't really. It's the Cowboys, and then the 49ers, the 49ers are there. The Lions might be a sleeper team, but the Vikings, I guess, if you want to throw them in there. But, I mean, I feel like the Eagles will find themselves back in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
I think this team, I think definitely got a lot better than last season. And I think they're built for this tough season. I think it's going to be, how well our new draft picks play. I think Dean's going to be starting in the middle, so we'll see how he plays, because I mean, he maybe played special teams in the regular season, so we see nice to see him get in the mix and see what we can do. But I think this team, I think it's going to be really good. I was a little nervous, after the Super Bowl, like what are we going to do with this team? But I think this team's built, and I think it's going to be. I'm not sure about 13 wins, but it's going to be. We'll be number 1 in the division, I think. Still.
Now, what are you thinking, Zach? Like, are you thinking that the Eagles could be a 15-win team? I mean, like some of these teams, like Seattle Seahawks, should be a win. New England Patriots should be a win. Buccaneers should be a win. Even the Dolphins, the Cardinals, the Vikings, the 49ers should be a win. The only teams I'm really scared about losing to, and tell me if you feel any different, Gingerbread Man, the Chiefs, I'm a little bit scared of course. The Jets, I'm a little bit scared of course, just because Aaron Rodgers, I think, and the Jets are going to be underrated. The Bills, I'm a little bit scared of. But, dude, that's really it. And maybe Dallas or New York one time if we slip up. But that would mean, like Sean said, 13-win team. I mean, do you feel any different?
No, I'm right on board with you guys. I agree. I mean, I feel like we're that good, that we can take care of business. I mean, like you said, there could be maybe a few slip-up games, but I think we're 13, 14, 15-win team for sure.
I agree. And I got one more question for you before we wrap up this segment. And thank you for joining us as always. How dialed in are you going to be this season? And how dialed in are the Philadelphia Eagles going to be this season, man? Revenge tour. What's the plans for this season?
Plans for this season? I don't know where to start, but I just know what two words: dialed in, and that's all that matters. We're going to be dialed.
We're going to be dialed. You heard it here first. Well, thank you for joining us, Zach. I appreciate you as always, man.
All right, man. You guys take care.
Have a good one.
We'll see you soon.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.
Yeah,
Beautiful. We appreciate him as always. What were you saying, Sean?
another reason why I feel like the Eagles are just going to do really well is because, Jalen Hurts, he's always, like you said, dialed in. He's always just focused on what has to come up and what he has to do better. And knowing that he just lost the Super Bowl, he's going to want it even more to strive to get better and back into that spot. So that's why I feel like the Eagles are in a good position right now.
I mean, and you guys saw the numerous clips of Jalen Hurts on the sideline where everyone else was like jerking around, if they were winning, and Jalen Hurts was just stone cold, just sitting there like, don't fuck with me. I'm dialed in, and like you said, like dialed in. Like this kid is definitely dialed in, and he's definitely going to have that revenge to seek because he was so close to getting that ring. But I think we're going to see his numbers increase drastically this year. I really think he's going to be, top 3 quarterbacks in the league this year with yards and things like that. So I'm excited to see what this kid does. And not to mention, he earned all the money that he got for his contract extension. I think out of all of our players we have on our team, I think Jalen Hurts is definitely the one that's most dialed in and is seeking revenge.
How dialed in are you going to be this season, Jack?
Oh, I'm going to be dialed. Don't you worry. I will be,
all gonna be
dialed, baby.
We're all going to be dialed, bro. We all going to be dialed. We're going to be tailgating, and we're going to be dialed in.
Hey, Tommy, how dialed in were you last night?
Time for Phillies talk with ballpark Tommy. Ginger Stitch.
Oh, I was dialed in with the 8 wieners I had last night.
Was that the last dollar dog night, do you think? I mean,
I don't think
havoc happening with the wave. Tell everybody what happened from your perspective. Explain with the wave.
So as the wave went around the stadium, people just threw their dogs, and honestly, it was more empty wrappers by the time it came around later in the game, the wave, that people were throwing it in the air. But because the tinfoil shined, everyone thought it was hot dogs they were throwing into the air. Were there hot dogs thrown? Yes. But it was honestly more like tinfoil just being thrown.
I don't know. Some of them look like kind of full-ass hot dogs in that video I saw.
I told you, some of them were, but the majority, not so much.
Yeah. I mean,
hey, those hot dogs are getting eaten, though. I will not mistake that. It don't matter if they go on the floor, especially if they're in tinfoil. And I mean, even if they weren't, you're in Philly.
There's a guy that got a whole tray that they just kept showing on the scoreboard from the 8th inning on because they were just trying to get rid of all the dogs. This guy literally got a whole tray of them, which I have to give them credit. They finally did. They finally listened to us for the 3rd and final game. So what they did was normally there's this picnic area around the ramp. If you first come in, the first base gate, there's this ramp and then there's an area where there's picnic tables. So they moved all the picnic tables and set up shop there and set it up. So then if you just wanted hot dogs, you could go in. And literally we got in a little after the first pitch, probably the second batter of the top of the first. Got in line. We were probably 17 people deep, got our dogs and back to our seats before Bryce and Stott even saw a pitch in the bottom of the first. It was
Are you telling me that this could possibly not be the last dollar dog night?
Correct. I think they finally figured out the system, finally figured out how not to piss off fans, and finally they figured out how to make it an immaculate experience. The vibes last night were immaculate. You had everyone coming together, enjoying Dollar Dog Night. You didn't have a bunch of rowdiness going on with the college students. It's which I'm sorry, I know that was a mistake to have it on Greek night, but with there being less college students there, it definitely was a better experience. I hate to say that as someone who just graduated, but now I totally see what people used to talk about with college students. It definitely was a better experience last night with less of them there. That being said, I love the rowdiness every other time though. But they finally figured that out. The vibes were immaculate. Everyone was vibing together, enjoying their hot dogs, guzzling their wieners, guzzling their glizzies. Everybody was in kumbaya mood, watching the Sixers end the game at the same time. We're all giving each other score updates. Hey, what are they doing? How's this looking? Who has TNT on their phone? And so we can all like gather around somebody's phone screen, and when something big's happening, and, like, it was the vibes were immaculate. The Phillies were crushing, the Sixers were crushing, and it was a beautiful May spring night. It was warm, crisp in the air. It was poetry in motion, Dutch.
Hey Tom, who do you credit all of that good planning to?
The Aramark workers, not the guys.
Oh, the douchebags in the suits, like Dutch. For once, Aramark not fucking up, huh, Tom?
For once, but even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Oh, he's always got something to say. But I mean, what was the end count on the dollar dogs for you? How many did you eat?
I had 8.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I mean, you couldn't one up it. $1, one dog per inning.
Dude, I was ready to throw up by the end of that. Now. I had 2 more dogs.
I think you bitched out. You should have done 1 dog per inning.
I brought 5 hot dogs home. I had 2 for lunch today. I thought I was gonna vomit when just having 2.
Were they not as good?
They were. After having so many last night, they definitely did not go down friendly today.
And it was nice to have a win for one of the last dog nights, because the past 2 dog nights.
Yeah, and they went 1 and 2 this year on dollar dog night.
That's pretty terrible.
I can speak on this one right here.
Go ahead.
This one, because I was at the game today. It was a beautiful game. I mean, in the first inning, you had Harper on base, and then Castellanos gets on base, and then you have first and third, and then inning over because of, I think it was Schwarber that was striking out. But no, I mean, they couldn't hit Gaussman. They really couldn't. In the first inning, that was it, but that's about it. Gaussman was throwing some nasty pitches, and they just couldn't touch them. And then they started to pick up the bats a little bit more towards probably like the sixth inning, fifth, sixth inning. And then where it was at the end of the game, going into extras, it was just electric. The whole stadium came together, and you had Stott that struck out, but then you had Bryce Harper come up to the plate, and a little bit after that,
boomstick,
and then he hit a hard ball. And honestly, if he didn't hit that hard ball to the pitcher, it would have got to Bichette, because Bichette was playing probably behind. He was playing right behind second base. So if that ball gets through to him, it's an easy double play. Since it went to the pitcher, he threw it, and then Bo Bichette was just trying to hurry around, and then he made a wild throw, and that's how the game ended right there. It really wasn't a Bryce Harper walk-off, but it was a walk-off on error. But yeah, no, it was a beautiful day for baseball, and it's good to see them get another win in the column, because now they go on the road to Colorado, and then after that they play San Fran.
No, I just feel like since Bryce Harper has been back, I just feel like the team has changed. Bat's been more live. We've been playing a lot more better defense. Pitching has been decent. I was watching the Sixers game last night, and I saw that Aaron Nola was pitching, and it was the 5th inning. I was like, "Oh fuck, the game's over," because you know Aaron Nola's famous for giving up 5 runs in 1 inning, typically the 5th inning. But it seems like the team is come back together since Bryce Harper's been back. Yeah, they've had a few losses here and there, but I really think that this team is definitely that missing piece. Bryce Harper definitely has helped us out a lot in the long run, I think.
Yeah, no, totally.
And it's also his team too. You know what I mean? Like, it's Bryce's boys. Like, when you look at this team this Philadelphia Phillies roster, you got Trey Turner, you got Kyle Schwarber, you got Bryson Stott, who he even had a big influence on when the Philadelphia Phillies drafted him. It's Bryce's boys to the max. So I definitely agree with Jack. This team has a different feel now that he's back. There's a certain chemistry. There's a certain vibe that the Phillies are playing with. And they're an exciting team to watch right now. So I honestly think that this is only just the beginning. And it's the perfect time for them to kind of, start to get their mistakes out, get hot through June and July, kind of like they did last year, the end of June. I mean, they were still even wobbly then. But once you get to, late August, you got to really have it all together, because if you want to make a deep playoff run, you need to be consistent is the biggest thing. And I think in baseball, and I don't know a thing or two about baseball, but I do know a thing or two about consistency. And I think that the Philadelphia Phillies pitching needs to be consistent. And I'll tell you what, having a good bat really, really helps with inconsistent pitching when you know that you can put up 5 to 7 runs a game. But even in the playoffs, your pitching has got to be consistent. So, this is all great that the Phillies are doing this, but, I think it's a testament today to good pitching. But at the end of the day, they need to be consistent pitching-wise, and that's kind of been the telltale sign all year of horrible pitching. Tommy, what are you thinking?
They had the worst starting ERA coming into the series in the NL. But what's lucky for them, and that for that to happen, let me put it to you this way. Hey, they had the worst starting pitching ERA coming into this series, and they needed something to absolutely change. Nola took a good first stab at it yesterday, then Wheeler again today. Hey, both pitched immaculately. Then you also have to think, can they really realistically manufacture 10 runs a game? And that's just an unrealistic expectation. And to expect any offense to do that. Do I expect them to be consistently putting up 4 or 5 runs a game? Absolutely. And I think they absolutely are capable of that, especially with the heavy hitters that they have. That being said, they still need to keep pushing. And I'm going to say it again, because every week I keep getting told it's too early, it's too early, it's too early. They need to start pressing the panic button. They're in second place right now in the NL East, which sounds great, but they're tied with the Mets and Marlins, who are all 3 are a game below 500, and they're all 8 games back of the Braves. 8 games is a lot of ground to make up, especially because the Braves aren't going anywhere anytime soon. The Braves have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. They have one of the most lethal lineups in baseball. If we have any chance of doing what we did last year, we need to pick it up. Great. The Mets are falling apart. We expected that. They fell apart last year. Sure, they got 100 somewhat wins. They'll fall apart this year. They're already falling apart. Max Scherzer looks like he's pitching like his age finally. And same with Justin Verlander. This guy that they got from Japan isn't really panning out so well. And McGill and the other guy, Peterson, they stink. We're getting Suarez back. We'll come back a little stronger, sure. But once again, we're not really competing with the Mets. We're competing more so with the Marlins, who have great pitching and a young, talented roster that no one really knows how to evaluate yet. And that hitting might actually turn around. And all that being said, who's your true competitor? You need to keep pace with the Braves. So, yes, click the panic button still. Because they've been abysmal until today. Sure, it was nice to get this sweep. I love this sweep. It was immaculate to finally see them win a series after their losing ways. However, the gas pedal needs to be pressed, and it needs to be pressed from here on out. Otherwise, yes, it is a tailspin, and it does need to be put into panic mode.
Hey, Tommy, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I agree with him because, I mean, they're hitting the ball. I mean, Bryce Harper's hitting the ball. I think Trey Turner needs to start. I know he's batting 301, but
he's abysmal.
He's just striking out too much. and he's been really in the slump of swinging at high pitches, a lot of them. And I feel like he needs to start getting multi games to help out the Phillies. And I mean, those guys like Alec Boehm, he's starting to his average is starting to go down a little bit, but I mean they're playing well. They're playing good. It hurts that what's his name, Alvarado's on the IL for 15 days.
But it's only inflammation, which is
it's only inflammation.
way better than what we could have ever asked for. I
Records
heard a
have
wrist
showed that
injury,
baseball
and I
players are
thought Tommy
losers.
John right away.
Baseball players are weak.
No, he's fine. He's only on the 15-day IL, and then you're getting Ranger back to go to play in Colorado. So it's going to be Taijuan Walker, Suarez, and then they're going to go right to Nola because it's a 5-day rest period. So that's a good. I mean, besides Walker, because Walker hasn't had the best outings this season. But we'll see what Suarez has to do, and then they're also getting Andrew Painter to start throwing right now. He's getting back into the mix, so it's going to be interesting what they're going to have to do to get back into this. But I mean, to win this series against the Blue Jays, it means a lot because the Blue Jays are a very, very good team. It's not to discredit them; like they're a really good team. To get that. To get back in the win column and the win series columns, it's just important. And you should be able to sweep Colorado, but Colorado is a gritty team too. But I feel like you need to start winning some ball games, definitely. Castellanos, I love what he's doing because he had a big night last night, and I mean he had an amazing catch out in right field today. He's been playing the field well, but just imagine if you had Bryce Harper in right field, you put Castellanos at left, and then you got a good defense in the outfield, and then you could have Schwarber at DH. So I feel like Bryce Harper will make a return in right field this season, but late in this season, I feel like he will be able to start throwing the ball. But yeah, no, I mean he's just a leader, and what Dolan said about how it's his boys. It's because you got to think without him, nobody would be on this team. Like it all started around him. Then you got Schwarber, then you got Castellanos, then you got Trey Turner. You got all these guys coming over from different teams to build a super team. I don't think they're a super team quite yet, but they have potential to obviously make a World Series. I mean, they did it last year. So I agree. Hit the panic button because they need to start ripping the ball and winning these games.
Yep. And moving on now to our next segment.
He shoots, he scores! Time for Slap Shots with Zep. Flyers talk from 302 Birds.
And two quick shout outs. First, shout out to Cut, our last sponsor for sponsoring Ballpark Tommy. If you guys aren't, download Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform, basically better than Venmo. When you make bets with your friends, instead of having a handshake, trust Cut. It's a better way to do it, and it's legal in 39 states. So if you can't sports bet in your state, you can probably use Cut, which is a ton of fun too. And also thanks to TickPick. You guys already know one of our favorite sponsors, TickPick. If you guys aren't, buy your tickets on TickPick. It's the best place to buy your tickets, and I'm not just saying that. Price-wise, they give you everything up front, no hidden fees on the back end, and the service is fantastic as well. But, yes, Ballpark Tommy, the NHL draft is rigged, you're saying. The Flyers are probably, hypothetically the second or third worst team in the NHL. Last year, they were pretty bad. Seventh. The seventh, you would say? So they get the pick that they deserve.
I wouldn't just say, no, they were the seventh worst.
So they are the seventh worst then. So they actually get exactly where they should be. So as a not hockey fan, I don't understand. Why are you saying that the NHL draft is rigged?
Because here's the thing. So usually there's a lot of moving around in that top 10. So the top 16 team or the bottom 16 teams in the league, they get put into a lottery is how it works. You can move up a total of 2 times based off of how the lottery works. And if anyone from from 11 to 16, if they somehow jump all the way to the number 1 seed, whoever should have been the number 1 seed gets that number 1 seed. Gets the number 1 pick then. And it just defaults back to who should have had it. Otherwise, everyone else in the top 10, those 10 picks are fair game. And magically last night, given the odds and the ping pong balls and all that, or I should say 2 nights ago at this point, every team stayed where they should be, except for 2. The Blackhawks, who had just about the same odds as the Flyers, and then the only team that had astronomically best odds for the first pick was the Anaheim Ducks. And somehow the Anaheim Ducks didn't get the pick, but everyone else magically stayed put at exactly where they ended the season. And if you didn't have a lottery system, they all got put like where you would have been. Like if they did the same system as like the NFL per se. Hey, but the only team to move is the Blackhawks, who Gary Bettman really made comments about how he really wants them back as a premier team all throughout the season. But right before they showed who the second pick was, this is where everybody got their conspiracy theory. ESPN cut the tape, and they didn't show the guy who revealed the cards like he was the whole time. Magically, all of a sudden, we're just showing highlights of Connor Bedard and stuff like that. And it, for the second pick, magically, it's the Anaheim Ducks instead of the Blackhawks. And everybody's going, wait, what? Like, why did they randomly cut? So I think the odds of this, the way all of a sudden, like how this literally never happens where everyone stays exactly where they should be, except for like 1 or 2. It never happens that way. And that all of a sudden this year, where Gary Bettman had some sort of incentive to have the Blackhawks be the number 1 overall pick to get Connor Bedard and revitalize that franchise, all of a sudden they're the number 1 pick overall to get in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. Seems kind of fishy to me. Also, we did have breaking news for the Flyers as we're doing this. They named a new president of hockey operations. It's going to be Keith Jones.
How you feeling about that?
I think it's another bad Comcast decision. I don't think he's not. I think he's a smart guy, don't get me wrong, but he has no front office experience, and you're going to take a guy who had 0 experience in NHL front office or operations and just put him in the top most important position with an inexperienced GM and Danny Briere. I think you're setting yourself up for disaster with 2 guys who have never done this job before.
Agreed. Sean, Jack, you guys got anything to say before we move on?
The reason why I think the NHL draft is rigged is because, look, yeah, you have those ping pong balls, but, they could tape that a week earlier and then just put it on the screen. They could just do that, and even though it says live, they could just do that a week earlier, and then I think they still have the picks already. Like, it doesn't matter about the ping pong balls. I think they already have the top 10 already set before they have the ping pong balls go off. And like what he said, 15 years ago, they picked Patrick Kane. Now, 15 years later, they get the best prospect in all of hockey, which is Connor Bedard. And I mean, they could skip on him, but why would they skip on Connor Bedard? Connor Bedard is going to the Blackhawks. We all know this. That would be just stupid and idiotic of them not to pick him. But yeah, so I mean, it's going to be a rough ride for the Flyers going here on out. I don't know. They might not be good for another 4 or 5 years. That I just don't see them being a good team for in these upcoming seasons. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and what he said about ESPN, the one guy said that somebody had a pick at number 3 before they even showed the card. They must have got some like information from the NHL or whatever, some insight about it. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just weird. It's fishy, and how you just can't move up like that. Like they just stay put. But it is what it is. You can't really do anything about it.
Truth. Jack, you ready?
Time for everybody's favorite part of the show, 302 Trivia, with your host, Jack Dorden, the mayor of Delaware.
Thank you again, Fantasy Football Network. Appreciate the sponsorship for that. Tonight's question we have, and if Dalton and Sean want to change their answer so it's not confusing, you guys can. But the question tonight was, who was the first Eagle to set the record for single game rushing record with 205 yards? Again, who was the first Eagle to set the record for single game rushing yards with 205? The answers are A, Deuce Staley, B, Brian Westbrook, C, Steven Van Buren, or D, Shady. So, you guys want to change your answer? I know it was kind of confusing because I had three questions. But that's the question. Who was the first Eagle to set the record for single game rushing yards at 205? We will give the answer at the end of the show.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you, Jack. Moving on now. The Philadelphia 76ers, man, not breaking our heart. One of the few bright spots right now in Philadelphia. Yet.
Put an
Let's be
asterisk
careful.
on that.
We still got to win the championship, not just go to it, win it. Because if we go to the championship and lose, it's going to be like the worst year. I think that would be such a monumental moment. But the Philadelphia 76ers, I don't think anybody thought that we would get this far, including myself. They have the Boston Celtics on the ropes, and they now lead the series 3-2, heading into a crucial Game 6 at Wells. That atmosphere, man, that the Celtics are going to have to play in, that's going to be tough. That's going to be really tough. So they should be able to close this out now. One game. That's all that they got to say to themselves.
Could you imagine it's like that atmosphere like it was back in October in that stadium? Like, I feel like for the Sixers playoffs, it hasn't gotten as hype as like the Phillies playoff run was or the Eagles playoff run was. Like, both the Link and CBP were rocking, and Wells Fargo doesn't seem like it's rocking. Like,
it's going to be rocking tomorrow night.
It needs to be rocking.
You also got to put in perspective that Wells Fargo Center probably doesn't hold as many people as the Citizens Bank Park.
But they have the advantage of the rock. Like, that stadium's enclosed. Like, the noise is encapsulated.
I think the main reason why it's not rocking yet when it should be is because, multiple years in the past we've been, oh my God, we should get past second round, and we're always a second round out. And they're just expecting that to happen again. But dude, I'm telling you, like I said before the playoff run, this Sixers team, I think, has been the best Sixers team I've experienced and been a part of in the playoffs, because they just are gelling so well together. Daniel House last night, oh my God, he was playing out of his mind. Like that, I think he played 2 other games and nothing happened in the playoffs, but he played so well last night. And I think the thing is, Harden's dishing the ball out. We gotta if we want to win this game, we gotta make sure that we take smart shots, because yes, Embiid was hitting the threes last night, but he was taking too many threes, personally, I think. And then we have Tyrese Maxey, great player, but he was ball hogging the whole time. I was making dumb decisions. But this team, I think our starting 5 is great. I mean, this team, I'm excited to see what happens. The past 5 games have been exhilarating for me. First time ever in the past couple years that I've felt to myself that this team can do it. They are able and they're capable of doing it. But it's just a matter of making smart decisions. We can't that one play with Harden last night when he was tying his shoe at half court and then we passed the ball away. We can't be making those stupid decisions. Play smart, slow the ball down when we need to, rush down the court when we need to. And I think this would be a good game. I mean, it's crazy that we're even talking about this right now. And that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that game last night was probably the best Sixers game in general I've ever watched in my life. They played well. You got 30 from Maxey, you got 33 from Embiid, and even though James Harden wasn't there to save the day, he didn't need to. He had 17 points, I believe, but he also had 12 assists. So I think that if you could play like that every single game, you're gonna go far, man. You're gonna play really good basketball, and I mean, the Boston Celtics really weren't making their shots as they should, but yeah, I think going into this game 6, you need to prepare because Boston's probably gonna be playing their best basketball that because their life is on the line basically. But going into that game, I mean, going into this game tomorrow night, Sixers got to be prepared. And I think if you get mid-20s from Maxey, because he's not a 30-point player every single game, but if you get mid-20s and you get the average 33 points a game for Embiid or more, you're gonna win. And when Tobias played really well last night too. Tobias was out of his mind. But when you see PJ Tucker scoring, you know you're going to win because PJ Tucker is not a scorer, but when he's aggressive underneath that in the paint, it's just so good to see. And when he's getting in Embiid's face, this was the one game before that. Yeah, that was the game before that. Getting in Embiid's face, telling him, like, get aggressive. And I think that this was probably, like, it was good to see what Embiid was doing because he was flying down the court. He was doing chase down blocks. It looked like he was being athletic like he usually is. But, yeah, I hope they could close it out tomorrow night and move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they could do it. I really think they can.
Praying that Harden gets that ring that he ever so deserves and ever so covets. But that's pretty much everything we got for the Sixers. It's all up to tomorrow, and until then, we'll talk about it after. But NFL schedule, some leaks seem to be in. It's not official until tomorrow, until Thursday. But the Philadelphia Eagles, we do know, Mama Kelsey leaked that the Eagles will play the Chiefs week 2. Great job, Mama Kelsey. Typical. Not surprised. She definitely has a good source or two. Anyway, the Philadelphia Eagles also leaking that they are going to play on Christmas Day at 4:30. And honestly, if it's up to me, I'm bringing out a nice folding table. I'm going to get a nice Christmas tablecloth. I'm going to get a nice stuffed turkey. I'm going to get some mashed potatoes, some mac and cheese, and I'm going to have Christmas dinner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the link with the rest of my family. Get out of here. That's the night before all you 7-fish Italians.
What are you talking about? You do
we're going into the link
on Christmas Day, then you do the fishes on the 24th.
Anyways, the point is the Philadelphia Eagles are then going to have a feast at Lincoln Financial Field. And who specifically? A guy by the name of Boston Scott. No pun intended that we're beating Boston's ass right now in the NBA playoffs. But B. Scott, I think he's going to have himself a game if the Philadelphia Eagles utilize him correctly. And this game's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be a fan favorite. At this point, hypothetically, the Eagles should be a lock and a clinch for the playoffs, especially in the NFC, which sucks. So I can't wait for this game. And I really hope that because it's on Christmas Day, that doesn't deter a lot of people from tailgating, because if a lot of people go with their families and do this right, this could be one of the most memorable tailgates, one of the most memorable, one of the most memorable tailgates in recent history that I could definitely remember. So props to the NFL for finally hooking the Eagles up with a great primetime game.
I don't know if it was Christmas Day, it may have been Christmas Eve or like the weekend after or before Christmas. What brings me back to Deshaun Jackson returning that punt after muffing it and ran it back for a touchdown for the win. I personally, we'll see. I don't plan on being there. I want to spend time with my family and watch it at home because it's going to be cold as titties. So I'd rather be at home with a nice fireplace. You know,
you're a bitch.
No, I'm not.
I enjoy my chestnuts roasting over an open fire there.
But I mean, if I don't get any presents on Christmas Day, That's the one present I want is an Eagles dub against the Giants. I think it's gonna be. Is that the second time we're meeting them? Probably, I would assume so.
Probably the second time by that point in the season.
Yeah. So I'm excited. We'll see what happens if I go or not. But this is gonna be electric at the Link because vibes are high during the holiday season and everyone's gonna be around. So hopefully, it's not a loss to the Cowboys we had last season.
Could one even say that the vibes would be immaculate?
No, they would be jolly.
I see what you did there.
Ah.
And you could even have your chestnuts roasting
on an
your
open
Gingerbread
fire.
Man might be there last year when KJ and I were there. That's a real photo on the bottom. That's one photo. Me, that Giants fan that tackled me. The dude just shows up right behind me and he's like, hey! I'm like, okay, whatever. Then in the background, you got that one photo when we went. That was one of my favorite Eagles games of my life. Was when we went to MetLife Stadium and met the Gingerbread Man for the first time with Broad Sports. That was a fucking fun ass tailgate. I think we're gonna have to make that an annual tradition. But Santa Claus will be in the house too. I mean, people say we don't treat Santa Claus with respect. Well, things have changed, as you can see by that photo.
Dalton, you said a Giants fan tackle you. I have some experience tackling Giants fans.
Yeah. If we see that guy again, don't worry. That guy, obviously, as you can see by this photo, he's all love. He was a good dude. Nothing wrong with him. But any Giants fans that want to fuck with us, be careful because, he's putting out his chest right now. Well, we got 302 Birds security. Ballpark Tommy, what are some of those flags you got in the background when I bring up this next graphic? Preston's asking.
Let me see here. I got the 4 aces when they had Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels, and Roy Oswalt. We got the 09 NL champs there. We got 93 NL champs. We got 04 from the vet when they were tearing down the vet, final season of the vet, and the final roster that the Phillies had is all the names are on it. I got 1980 Phillies World Series champs pennant with the World Series roster on it. Just 1980 Phillies NL champs pennant. 1966 team photo pennant. They used to put out pennants. Oh, you can't see it because of where you're angled at. But the one in the corner there.
Jesus Christ. Holy shit.
And they used to do these pennants where they would put an actual picture on it. And so it's the team photo from 1966 with the Phillies. There's nothing special about the 66 season. I just thought it was a cool pennant because they don't make pennants like that anymore.
And folks, this is MTV Cribs with Ballpark Tommy.
Yeah, 1 pennant, 2
Tommy,
pennant.
I have the same.
Pennant, 4.
Tommy, I have the same flag right here of the 1980 World Series.
It goes around my whole basement. Along that wall over there is pennant. So my dad used to do this thing for teams where they would for the Flyers and all of them, where they would put out they would give people the pennants to hand out on the corner on Broad Street if they were to win. So he signed up for that as a job multiple times. So in 87, he has a pennant here that he got from the Flyers. If the Flyers were to have won the Stanley Cup in 1987, they didn't, but they gave him one just to keep for being here you go. Thanks for doing a job for us. He has all these pennants of stuff that didn't happen. It's kind of like a wall of Philly sports mishaps of past.
On the misfits.
Yeah.
And also, Ryan Swope, I apologize. I got busy this week. I'm going to reach out to you next week so you can come on the show.
What are you doing, man? You were supposed to have Ryan Swoop on the show.
Yeah, I apologize, Ryan. We'll get you next week for sure.
All right, Jack, break it down for us. 2023 opponents. What's your over under? How many wins are the Eagles going to get? What's the maximum? What's the minimum? What are you thinking?
I think the Eagles would go max 14-4 because there's 18 games, right? 18 weeks. right?
No,
Yes.
17 games.
So 14-3 is max. Minimum, like where I think that this record's gonna this season's gonna be tough. I think they're gonna go. I'm gonna say 7-7, and then middle ground, I'll go with 11-6, and it's not gonna be as easy as it was last year, but for sure it's gonna be a good season. Johnny boy.
Yeah, I think so. If you're just going off of like just that picture, I think you at the home. I'm just gonna do the top. I think you beat the Giants, Washington, Commanders, Cowboys. You beat the Bills, which is gonna be a tough game. You beat the 49ers. You beat the Vikings. You beat the Cardinals, and in a surprise game you lose to the Miami Dolphins. You sweep the Giants away. You sweep the Commanders away. You lose the game away against Dallas. You beat the Bucks. You lose the Chiefs. You beat the Jets. Beat the Patriots. Beat the Rams. And then you lose. I that's just going off that picture, but realistically, they're probably going to lose like 3-4 games, I would say.
I think they're going to take an L to the Jets, I think.
Yeah, the Jets are going to be a good team. They're going to be a gritty team. But I don't know if they have enough to go deep in the playoffs because the AFC is just so dominant. There's the Ravens. Yeah. There's a lot of teams in there that it's going to be hard.
That's why it was so stupid for Aaron Rodgers to go to the Jets, NFC I thought, because the NFC is wide open. He has such an easier chance to go to the Super Bowl being in the NFC. But he wants to make a statement. He wants to be Mr. New York. He wants to go to the Big Apple. Screw it. We'll eat our cake and, have fun with it. Tommy, what are you thinking?
I think they go 12-5, just looking at this graphic. So at home, I think they go 7-1 with their one loss, 7-1. Their one loss coming to the Bills. Then I think on the road, they lose one to the Giants, one to the Cowboys, one to the Chiefs, and I'm going to say they lose one to the Seahawks because I feel like it doesn't matter if the Seahawks are having a good, bad, or indifferent season, they always have trouble against the Seahawks away. So I think that's their fourth. They'll have 4 road losses, 1 home loss, so it'll be 12-5 on the season.
Sounds like pretty good.
12-5. I think that's kind of, I don't know. I think 12-5 is a little bit for this schedule. I think it's a little bit pessimistic, but hey, Tommy's always been a realist. I totally get it. And I think that's at worst. So I think that the good news is I think at best they're 15-2. Obviously, the Eagles are not going to go 15-2.
Look, I think we have a phenomenal team. Don't get me wrong. I just think if the expectation is we're going to have a very similar year to last year record-wise, I think you're fooling yourself. We had a lot easier of a schedule last year. But I hate that narrative because everybody goes, yeah, the Eagles had an easy schedule. So did the whole effing NFC East. The Giants had an easy schedule. The Cowboys had an easy schedule. The Commanders had an easy schedule. But no one could keep up with us. So
looking at this schedule, when I look at all these opponents, in my personal opinion, you look at the top row, I think you lose maybe to the Bills at worst. That game could go either way. Then you look at the bottom. San Francisco could be a tough game, but they should win that, realistically. So they should win all those games. We'll say that they have 2 losses at worst out of the first 8 games. Maybe they lose a divisional one to the Cowboys or to the Giants or to the Bills. They're going to lose one of those 3 games. One of those 4 games, I should say, to San Francisco. They won't lose all of them. And then they go to their away games, which is a little bit – I think that they'll still win New York. I think that they'll still go ahead and beat the Commanders. I think that they should win on the road against the Cowboys. That'll be a tougher game, though. I'm not going to lie. That atmosphere is tough to play in. They'll beat the Bucks away. The Chiefs are going to be a tough game. I'll chalk up a loss there.
I'm locking that in as a loss.
I'll chalk it up as a loss, not lock it in. Come on, have some faith, Tommy.
I'm locking it in.
The New York Jets could go either way, but then the rest of the games, the Patriots, the Rams, and the Seahawks, we all know what should happen there. So I think, honestly, the Philadelphia Eagles go 13-4. 14-3 in my personal opinion, which I think is a great record. So look out for the Philadelphia Eagles next year, because honestly, I could see even the games that the Philadelphia Eagles could lose, or as ballpark Tommy says, lock in a loss, Dutch. Even those games, as he says, I think could go either way.
I'm locking it in.
Well,
I'm dialed in.
That's pretty much
optimistic, bro.
And also the Super Bowl is being played on a turf field, I believe. I guess. I guess.
The NFL is trying to push their turf agenda.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's. I don't know what Allegiant Stadium is. That's the Raiders Stadium, but I don't know if it's turf or grass. I'm not sure.
It's
turf. There you go. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they have. But yeah, 13-4, 14-3. That's a pretty good record. I think they could do it.
For sure. And before we wrap up here,
time for everybody's favorite part of the show, 302 Trivia, with your host, Jack Dorden, the mayor of Delaware.
Again, Fantasy Football Network, appreciate the sponsorship. We always will be using you anytime, in the next, 2 months when we do the Fantasy Football Draft. The question we had tonight was, who was the first Eagle to set the record for single game rushing yards at 205 yards? Again, who was the first Eagle to set the record for single game rushing yards with 205? And the answers we had were A, Deuce Staley, B, Brian Westbrook, C, Steven Van Buren, D, Shady McCoy. And from the team here at 302 Birds, the only right answer was Tommy Boy Salucci.
Steve Van Buren,
Yes. Sean said Shady, and I think he got confused because I originally said who broke the record. And
I was confused. That's why I texted you that paragraph of an answer.
Yeah.
I didn't back out of my answer, so just say.
So, and Dalton said
I could have with the way Jack phrased it, because I was gonna say Steve Van Buren after that, but it is what it is.
Oh, whatever you say, excuses. I guess that's all we got tonight. I appreciate you guys who are loyal, and we got viewers, on a Wednesday night. But Josh is downstairs right now. I'm not sure what he's doing, but if you can hear me, hey Josh, it's an outro, not an intro. Hit that outro.
You're just jealous that Josh has a fire flow.
We have nothing. Walk up, Homer.